Yesterday at the National Assembly, it was a spectacle to behold. Threatening-looking DSS men masked, laid siege at the entrance, and of course, places that people could go into, how people could go into their offices was a very big challenge yesterday at the National Assembly. And of course, this is all connected to the leadership tussle that has followed the recent defection, whereby we saw a total number of about 37 former members of the APC in the House of Representatives, the campaign to the PDP, and also a huge number too in the House, in the Senate, the campaign from the APC to the PDP. And as it stands now, the PDP has the majority in the Senate. And one big, talk that followed that is simply that the president of the Nigerian Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, should resign. So many things have been said. Some say that he cannot resign because he is not the president of the APC. He is the president of the Nigerian Senate. And some have said that, wow, he really needs to resign. And of course, that has really, the way people are saying it, that has really prompted what transpired yesterday. To discuss this morning on our program, this morning on ITV, we have Barrister Dele Igbenedion, a one-time parliamentarian. And of course, he's going to be telling us some things we know about these issues this morning. So you're welcome to the program this morning on ITV.
Thank you. Hello, viewers.
Yeah. And of course, we have Dr. Osahon Amayo. Doctor, you're welcome to this program.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
Yeah, Baron Mike is also with us this morning. Baron, you're welcome.
Good morning, Evans. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good morning, viewers.
Now, Barrister Igbenedion, we saw all that transpired yesterday, and of course, it's all tailored to impeachment move. Now, before this time, we understand that the National Assembly, was asked to go on a recess, and as we speak now, they are still on the recess to come back sometime around 25th of December of September this year. Let's ask first, what is the procedure? Because you are a one-time parliamentarian. What is the procedure for reconvening? If members have to quickly reconvene so that they can discuss one or two issues.
Well, thank you very much. One must start by saying that what we all witnessed yesterday, from the reportages on the various media outlets, is something that left much to be desired. There's no doubt about it that it's condemnable, but we're also glad that the ever-vigilant administration of Muhammadu Buhari has taken steps to immediately address that issue and to distance itself from it and to show that the man who probably was head of the SSS or DSS, as they prefer to be called, was acting as a lone wolf. When people try to associate it with the leadership also in the National Assembly, I get uncomfortable because there's actually no evidence pointing to that. What played out yesterday was that the House, the Senate, as you know, has adjourned sitting till September. But there's been these, requests by the administration that there are lots of pending matters. First of all, the budget of INEC for the forthcoming election, the general elections, has not been approved as at now, and INEC has not been able to be monetized to be able to work. And a few other things which are urgent. So there's been some subtle sort of persuasion for the President of the Senate and the leadership of the National Assembly to reconvene, because there's no point really adjourning to September. Why are you adjourning to September? I mean, are you supposed to be on recess when there are urgent, matters of national importance? So
let me quickly ask this question.
Yes.
The recess they are on now, is it legal?
It's not legal. Okay, well, they have the power to regulate their sittings by the Constitution. The National Assembly, because it's a self-regulatory body, they can regulate their sittings, they can fix their sitting days, provided they meet a constitutional sort of a minimum. Although, there is no sanction if they don't meet that minimum. It doesn't mean they are going to refund their salaries. It doesn't mean they are going to go to jail. But so, they can adjourn their sitting and fix it at any time they consider convenient. However, they are expected to take into account the fact that they are getting paid from, we are in July, August, September, all these months that they are going to be at home, they are going to get paid for doing nothing. Those are things they are supposed to consider. But perhaps in the wisdom of the President of the Senate, he decided that they should just adjourn the sitting of the Senate. We suspect why. Obviously, to ward off any attempts, to impeach him, any opportunity for that. But that's a separate matter. Now, when the Senate is on recess, the way to reconvene is that the President of the Senate will instruct the clerk of the National Assembly to issue a proclamation and invite people to come back. That was not done. What was announced was that the leadership of the National Assembly was going to hold a meeting yesterday at about 12 noon. And there were also the other group were unhappy with it. Some other opinion leaders in the Senate were not happy with the just sort of blanket adjournment for all these months. So politically, there's been this sort of back and forth in terms of the ideas. Some want the Senate to reconvene, some don't want it to reconvene. So yesterday was going to be, as it were, some day for some discussions. And then, things got out of hand. So, to answer your question again in one sentence, if the Senate wants to reconvene, the President of the Senate ought to inform, the clerk of the House. But where he doesn't do his job, there are other ways to go about it.
All right, so what we're saying is that the APC senators that said to have made that gathering yesterday at their instance, probably they did something wrong. Is that what you're saying?
It wasn't the.
They didn't use the normal procedure. I mean,
it was not a reconvening of the Senate that happened yesterday.
Of normal plenary.
No, it's not, it was not a reconvening of a plenary. People just went to work. The fact that the Senate is on recess does not mean that people don't do their jobs. It just means the plenary is on recess. They are not sitting as a body. But committees will continue to function. People will continue to receive their constituents.
Then why is so much talk of the attempt to impeach the Senate President?
Well, this is just something Saraki is banding all around. I think it's his information machinery that is banding it. That the man is paranoid. People are trying to impeach him. People are trying. Who is trying to impeach him? Nobody is impeaching him.
Let's just say the man is paranoid.
No, but you know the word. You know the meaning of the word paranoid. The man just wakes up and thinks, if he sees me and you pass by, and I would think, okay, Evans and Dele must be planning something against him. I mean, why is he scared?
Well, that's your own explanation.
I mean, impeachment is something that will happen on the floor. If it's going to happen, there will be a vote. There will be a required majority. Or otherwise, if it is a vote of no confidence, that one happens by simple majority. If the majority of the members of the House has lost confidence in him, they don't require to test majority. They just require simple majority. But if it's for impeachment.
Let me pause you there, because we're going to come back to you much more later on that, constitutional requirements on impeachment. Dr. Osahamayo, what's your own take on what transpired yesterday?
Well, it is quite nauseating and is abysmal what happened yesterday in the National Assembly. What you saw yesterday was a rape on our nascent democracy. It is quite appalling that the Department of State Security Services or officials will go to the National Assembly complex to desecrate the National Assembly complex. Let me read from our Constitution. Section 1 of the Nigeria Constitution, subsection 2 says, the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall not be governed, nor shall person or group of persons take control of the government of Nigeria or any part thereof, except in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. So what you saw yesterday, some persons were trying to take control of the government, because the legislative arm of government is also a part of government. So what you saw yesterday is a treasonable offense. I think the DG of the DSS should be tried for treason, because yesterday he was trying to seize power, the powers of the legislative arm of government. But I think
why would you?
I just read it to you now.
Yeah.
That some persons, that the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall not be governed, nor shall person or group of persons take control of the government, or the like take control.
Okay, now
some persons were trying to take control.
Who are those persons?
We saw them yesterday. ITV aired it. I watched it on ITV News by 7:30 p.m. You saw some ad men. I don't know who they are. It was later we found out that they were men of the DSS. It was later found out that the presidency or the executive arm of government were not even the ones that deployed them, because the president is also the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces. Now, we should get all these things straight.
Do you think, Doctor, that the director of the DSS, the former director now, could have, for what reason, for what purpose?
I don't know. I don't know. That is why he should be tried for treason. Because what he did yesterday is a treasonable offense. But I think we should also thank and salute the courage of the acting president, the person of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, for rising up to the occasion, for not playing to the gallery, because he is the professor of law. We should thank him for redeeming the image of Nigeria yesterday, because what you saw yesterday was a slap on the face of all Nigerians. Is a collective slap, because an injury to the government of this country is an injury to all Nigerians. Our democracy is being tried just because of 2019. Everything you are seeing now is just because of individual interest, personal interest, what people will gain. Are these things really for the common good of this country? I'm not trying to say that the legislative arm of government, they are so perfect, because all the laws that they have even made so far, they are not even made because of the common people on the streets. The executive, they have to share part of the blame, while the legislative arm also have to share part of the blame. Like he rightly said, yesterday was supposed to be an executive session. It was supposed to be for the it's supposed to be a leadership meeting between the leaders of the National Assembly and the INEC chairman. You know, there is a bill before them now concerning INEC budget for 2019 election, and everything now has been put on hold. So as we speak now, the 2019 election is even we don't even know if the 2019 election will even hold, because as we speak now, I don't think Saraki and his men will even want to sit down with the INEC chairman to discuss how they will pass the 2019 budget for INEC. So everything is just being done because of politicians' selfish interest, and that has been the bane of development in this country. Okay, because we are always looking for personal gain. So I think the vice president even deserves a Nobel Peace Prize award for what he did yesterday, because it takes a man with a large heart, it takes a man with a lion heart to do that kind of thing, for him to sack the DG of the DSS. And as we speak now, we're even hearing that the man has been arrested. I'm telling you, the vice president knows, from what I quoted, the vice president knows that what the man did yesterday was a treasonable offense. Okay, now,
about Mike, let's look at the whole issue, the idea of shifting or putting resumption to September 25th. Now, the PDP members now, as led by the Senate President Bukola Saraki, do you think all this, is it in the best interest of the nation? Because we're talking about the budget for INEC for the 2019 election, and of course the supplementary budget, and one or two bills that the National Assembly ought to look at. Because once they come in September 25th, before you know it is going to be primaries, and these issues may not just be attended to. So all these, is PDP acting, or the Senate President, do you think is acting in the best knowledge of Nigeria as a nation?
Thank you very much. First of all, before I answer that question, I want to contribute to the shock that everybody is displaying over what happened in the National Assembly yesterday. I think for me, it's not surprising. It's not surprising. This same DSS under Lawal Daura went to the houses of judges and were arresting them at midnight. This same DSS, under his leadership, has heard, what's the name of this NSA boss?
Call him Dasuki.
Dasuki Sambo. This same DSS wrote to the National Assembly about Magu's confinement. This same DSS, under this man, have been a trouble in this government. But sometimes when you say it because you are a member of either the opposition or you are not a member of the ruling party, you are looked at from a political spectacle. I want to give kudos to the Vice President. Although in a sane environment, he couldn't have done anything outside what he did yesterday. I give that to him. He did well. Then to your question, if the PDP legislators, they are acting well or not, one thing answers that question. The PDP, as a party, wants to contest the 2019 election. The PDP, as a party, we're interested in the House of Assembly election, we're interested in the House of Representatives election, all the elections. So we are so interested in 2019, and if we're interested in 2019, we cannot send our senators to go there and stampede anything that will make 2019 election come to pass. You see the adjournment. The adjournment is a way of giving stability to the leadership and the membership of the National Assembly, no doubt. And that is why Saraki has called for a leadership meeting with the INEC chairman, which was truncated yesterday. And I'm very sure that because of the kind of person he is, he's a reasonable human being, he's a reasonable Nigerian, in the shortest time, they are going to come up again to profile a way to see that if it is possible to reconvene within this time, they will reconvene. If there are ways, even outside the reconveyance, if there are ways to look at issues, of course they would. So they are not, it's not a matter of the PDP sending Saraki to stampede 2019. No, it will not be clever. No party would do that. The PDP is not doing that, and they would not do that. What you are seeing now is a way of giving balance and credibility to the process. Because imagine if there was no recess and the whole shenanigan that happened yesterday, it would have happened earlier than this. And Nigeria is suffering from this, whether directly or indirectly. We will be the ones to suffer from all this malady. Because you look at the situation where the DSS will go siege a National Assembly. I mean, that's an aberration. It's an aberration of the highest order. It's condemnable, as my colleague have said. And of course, we have to give benefit to people to put credibility to all this process. I believe, and I hope that very soon, Saraki's leadership will bring a facelift to all of these things we are seeing now.
Okay. Now, Barrister Dele Igbenedion, 30 members of the Senate yesterday,
yes,
you know, are said to have sat, to have met with the attempt to impeach the Senate president. Now, the arguments now are that some people try to look at how Saraki emerged.
Yes.
He emerged by a simple majority, as at the time the House sat.
Yes.
Now, some people are also trying to juxtapose that reasoning with the fact that if it was possible yesterday, if those 30 members had really met, if not for the troubles and everything that occurred yesterday, I mean, the 30 members would have formed the simple majority as at the time they sat. Now, with that simple majority, what is the requirement of the law? What does the law say about impeaching the Senate president? Because some say a simple majority, but some say to third majority. What is the requirement of the law?
Okay, well, the law is quite simple. The requirement is that if you want to impeach the Senate president, and I use the word impeach advisedly, you're required to test majority.
Okay.
But on the other hand, if you lose confidence in him, that is not an impeachment. Impeachment means there are charges, there's going to be a trial, suspension trial, is found to have contravened, and then it goes through a process. But if you lose confidence in him, it's a simple majority. You don't need to test.
And of course, you pass a vote of no confidence.
You pass a vote of no confidence, and that's it. It's out of the seat.
Oh, with vote of no confidence, it's out of the seat. It's
out of the seat, yes. But it's not an impeachment. So for legal sort of interpretation and reasons and consequences, I think that is the proper word. For legal consequences, it was not an impeachment. It was removed because of vote of no confidence. So that is it. Because don't forget that the president of the Senate is, as we say, primus inter pares. Is first among all his equals. He was chosen by everyone. He represents a constituency just like every other person. He is the beneficiary of the goodwill of his colleagues. He was not elected to go and become Senate president from Kwara. He was elected just like every other member of the House, of the Senate. So to that extent, there are sort of two streams for removal, either impeachment or vote of no confidence. But I really feel piqued by this fear of impeachment. They always say to somebody that if you have a dream or a prophecy that, one's father died, it's a prophecy which, will one day, sort of come to pass. I mean, there's an inevitability about it. Saraki is, at this point, he himself realizes that his days are very numbered, not because of anybody's doing, but, I mean, if you make your position untenable, then you have...
How do you mean untenable now? Because as we speak now, Saraki seems to be the most popular person in the Senate. I mean, he has, just yesterday we saw the footage, immediately after the siege and all that, we saw Saraki coming into the National Assembly and the hailings, the famous shouts and all that. So don't you think Saraki is a popular person in the Senate?
Well, in politics, Shakespeare, before you or I was born, told us that there are daggers in men's smiles. There are daggers when men smile at you, daggers inside the smile of men. So when people are hailing Saraki like that, they are goading him on to destruction. They keep shouting, hey, you are a great man, you are a great man. But the man himself knows that he's in some problem. Now, and I want to say this, all those who are hailing, Akpabio last a week ago was hailing him, wasn't he? And I can tell you that half of the people who are hailing him are very uncomfortable with the situation. First of all, the National Assembly is not performing its constitutional role. It's been adjourned now for 2 months. Not everybody is happy with that.
But also, it's also constitutional because at this time of the year, every time the National Assembly goes on recess, even some state house of assembly, they go on recess. So
you can go. There are recesses and there are recesses. There are recesses that are unwarranted. Bible says all things are lawful, not all things are permissible. You can't go on recess when there are matters of urgent national importance, facing you. Like we have an election coming. There's an election coming. The president is a different, he's on health vacation. It's not. It didn't just
go. Say he's on health vacation.
Well, okay, for whatever it is. The president has a deputy. Government. Sorry, sir. Yeah. Government is running. The executive is running. The vice president took action yesterday.
Yeah, but the question I also want to quickly ask you: as at the last time the House met at plenary. When it was suggested, it was another of the House that was raised that the House needs to go on recess now. I mean, most of the members, the APC members we saw yesterday or that we are seeing now, we didn't see the reaction. We didn't see the rejection. I mean, nobody spoke against it, that the pending issues are pending. The INEC, budget is there. Supplementary budget is there. Some bills are there that have not been attended. We didn't see them rejecting to the proposed vacation or recess. So how come they are now speaking now?
Well, look, I think sometimes we don't all have to be rumbustious. I mean, I'm not speaking for them. I'm not their spokesperson. But reading from their body language, sometimes you pick your fights. You pick your occasion of your fight. And a wise man, discretion is the better part of valor. It's possible that you can fight at this moment. It's possible you can hold your peace. And every wise man knows when to strike. And if Saraki has no skeleton in his cupboard, reconvene the Senate. Why are you afraid? It's the Senate of the National Assembly. It's the Senate of Nigeria. So I mean, that's the point. The fact that they didn't speak the other day does not mean they will not speak tomorrow. Is he going to continue hiding forever? Come out into the open.
Okay, let me come to Dr. Amayo. I know that Baron might want to react to some of the issues you raised. Now, Dr. Amayo, the defection, the resignation, first and foremost, of Godswill Akpabio, and of course his defection to the APC, is something that has also generated reaction. You know, some say that the move is just too good to have happened. I mean, I don't know what you make of that. Some say it is not something that should be happening at this time.
Well, if you say it's not something that should be happening at this time, I will not agree with you totally, because at this point in time is more or less like a transfer window of politicians, where you see a gale of defections. You see them, the PDP, the APC, and the ADC right now, they are just like the Manchester United, the Chelsea, and Real Madrid, FC of this world, going to the transfer market, trying to get the best of players, midfielders, attackers, and defenders. And you know that whether you like it or not, Senator Godswill Akpabio is more or less like a midfielder with creativity, where you get the ball to the attackers and to the defenders and all that. So they feel that the only way that they can dent a huge blow to the PDP is to go right to their engine room. And recall, he is the minority leader of the PDP, so in the Senate. So what we are seeing here, these defections, I think what we should ask ourselves, is it for the interest of you and I? Is it for our overall interest? No. It's for their own personal interest. From what we are hearing, I don't know if it is true, but from the rumor mill is that he has been promised the Senate presidency. And it's also as a result of the fallout between Akpabio and his governor, Governor Udom Emmanuel, that the structure of the party has been taken from him and given to the governor. And you know that politicians are very selfish in nature. They don't want an inch of their structure to be given to another person. And you can even see the upheaval in Kwara State. As soon as Saraki decamped to PDP, the chairman of PDP in Kwara State, Oyedepo, decamped to APC, that they cannot coexist. Because the problem that we always have with governors, successors, and predecessors is always about party machinery, party structure. A city governor will always want to control the structure of the party 100%, because as soon as they are elected, they are looking at second term. From the day of their swearing in, they start working towards their second term in office. That is part of the problem that Akpabio is having. But I don't know if Akpabio will be able to deliver Akwa Ibom to the APC, because I know that Akwa Ibom is a stronghold of the PDP. That's on one side. Then coming back to what Barrister was trying to say, that Bukola Saraki is hiding from his shadows. I don't know about that. I only know that what they did yesterday, whoever that orchestrated that move is anti-democracy. Whoever that planned the DSS to be at the National Assembly, because yesterday, Saraki, I think what he did yesterday was a statesman thing. For him to have called a leadership meeting with the INEC chairman, that is to say that he too, like he said, they are all interested in 2019. Everything you are seeing now is a battle of wits. All the clandestine and Nicodemus and all the surreptitious meetings that they have been having at Mekong, eating, Sheraton, or whatever, it's all geared towards 2019. All politicians are interested in the 2019 election as we speak right now. But for someone to have gone to the National Assembly to truncate that meeting is only putting our democracy into test, into trial. Because as we speak right now, the 2019 election is hanging on the balance. Until that budget is approved, they cannot, the INEC cannot go and spend any money. And as we speak right now, they need to start recruiting adult staff, they need to start recruiting core members and all that. As we speak, that cannot be done because of some person's selfish interest. And I think the vice president was not even kept in the know. I think he was not informed, because he is a professor of law. He wouldn't have advised them to take such a decision. I think people should separate politics from governance. The vice president is doing his best to ensure that there's stability in the country. I think the people that acted, they are part of the cabal that we have been talking about, that have been ruining this administration. And I think the vice president did a very good job by putting a stop to that barbaric display that we saw yesterday at the National Assembly. Okay,
Baron might quickly react to what Barrister said, so that we can come to Barrister.
Well, it's not really much, but I think that he has cleverly wanted to make the recess as though it was not important. The truth is, the recess to the National Assembly was important. If it wasn't important, the members of the APC were there. It was after they announced the defections of those that were defecting and everything that the call for the adjournment they came up. So it is not illegal, it is not immoral. And if there is need for the House to reconvene, of course there are processes that can make them reconvene. In the instance where there are matters of national urgency, they will reconvene. So for you to say that
this time they were not reconvening for normal plenary.
Of course, if after the meeting they saw the need to reconvene the National Assembly, they would have reconvened. That could have been the reason why they wanted to meet with the INEC chairman. You understand what I'm saying? So we don't even know. Everything we are doing now, perhaps, is just we are assuming that this was going to be, that was going to be. The man has called, he simply did something that was reasonable, called a meeting of the leadership of the National Assembly, and the INEC chairman, since it is important now that we should listen to INEC, and if at the long run we discover that, okay, we need to reconvene the National Assembly, you can't just reconvene the National Assembly just like that. If the National Assembly leadership were convinced enough, okay, we need to bring our colleague on board, of course, the clerk would have called for reconveyance. So it is not out of place for them to go on recess, whether on any ground. It's not out of place for them to go on recess. It's their constitutional right. They enjoy it, and if there's any need to cut that recess short, of course they would.
Okay. In addendum, let me quickly add something. If you take a timeline of what has been happening in 1999, in 2003, 2007, 2011, and 2015, if you check it, you can go and check this time of the year, especially a year preceding an election. This time, between August and September, primary elections for House of Assembly, National Assembly, governorship, and presidential primaries normally take place between August, September, and October. And the National Assembly or State House of Assemblies are always on recess. Go on, you can go and check it out.
Politicians.
From 1999 to date, they normally take a 2-month recess because these people, every politics is local. These people are expected to go back to their constituencies to go and canvass for votes, because the only way you can return back to the National Assembly is when you have won election in your constituency. You don't win election in Abuja. So when Saraki called for recess, when he called that the House of Assembly should go on a recess till September, all the members, all the senators were right there. Nobody moved against it. Nobody moved a counter motion against it. How come they are not crying foul? Because all of them wanted the recess. They wanted to go back to their constituencies to also canvass for votes for primary election.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Barrister Dele Benedi, I beg your pardon. Yes. Now, you see, there's no way we can really not talk about whether they have to reconvene now or not, because this Saturday, that's about 3 days time. Remember the 2 honorable members that died, the 2 senators that died.
Yes.
They're supposed to be doing their by-election this Saturday. Now, ordinarily, that shows that the senators are not even supposed to meet under any guise this period. Because we're asking these questions, because for most Nigerians, it's worrisome. It's even more suspicious to find out that hurriedly they are trying to meet and all that. So when people say they're probably calling to come together to impeach the Senate president, don't you think they are correct?
Well, that is not correct. Let us not cry wolf where there is no wolf. I mean, as I continue to reiterate, I do not speak for the executive.
But we are all analysts. We all watch what
I don't think the APC members have anything restraining them if they want to impeach the Senate president. If they can get the number of
the required
they can get
law,
and they obviously do not have. Yeah, well, hang on a minute. Hang on. My point? Look, our doubts are traitors. Our doubts are traitors, preventing us from the good we ought to get because we failed to attempt. So, if there is any interest in impeaching the Senate president should put his popularity into test on the floor of the House. This is not the only country where you find this thing happening. Of course, there's been some shift. He's moved from one party to another and all that. He has to reconfirm his legitimacy. So I would advise him, if he could listen to wise counsel, don't be afraid. Test your popularity. That's on one hand. On the other hand is the fact that the by-election is going on does not mean that the Senate should go on recess, because the by-election is not a nationwide thing. It's taking place in, I think one is in Bauchi, I think, and the other is in Katsina. You know, restricted to a senatorial district.
Yeah, but we're talking about representation here.
Yes, yes, it doesn't stop them voting.
Yeah,
the other members are not going there to vote.
I know. What about the affected, constituencies? They
will vote their own person who will now come to join the Senate that is on recess. Okay. Perhaps till next year.
I also want to
perhaps we don't know when they are going to reconvene.
Yeah, I also want to quickly react to the rumors making around.
Yes.
That perhaps the national chairman of the APC, Adams Oshomole,
yes,
may have constructed what we saw yesterday. You want to quickly react? These are rumors.
Well, again, a lazy workman will always quarrel with his tools. I think that is the problem with Saraki right now. Everybody is suspect as far as it's concerned.
Of course, there's also the rumor too that the ousted Director General of the DSS has said that the Chief of Staff to the President and not even the National Chairman gave him the directive. These are some of the rumors.
Well, he can blame everybody and anybody, but the law is clear. He reports directly to the presidency, to the President himself.
That's the ousted.
Yes. So if he claims that you or I or Barabara Mike is the one that advised him to do it, and I think you look suspicious, then that's all for him. But to try to bring in the good person and character and wonderful personality, great ideals of Comrade Oshomole into this sort of mess, to me is sickening. Let's not go there at all. Comrade Oshomole doesn't operate like that. If he wants to get an impeachment, he gets an impeachment, but he's not a member of the National Assembly. He doesn't have a right to vote. He cannot sit in their meetings. He cannot participate. What is his interest? Oshomole can work with anybody. He has worked with people on diverse sides of the divide. He's a man who knows how to mobilize people. So whether Saraki is in PDP or Saraki is in APC, if Oshomole wants to achieve an agenda, he will also achieve it through Saraki. Now, let me also make this point. Right now, Saraki has moved from APC to PDP, right?
Yeah.
Are you sure he's going to stay or he will come back?
I can answer
exactly. So this is a man who keeps moving from one to the other. But Oshomole has been like a rock of Gibraltar. He's never moved.
Even the national chairman also moved. I remember he was in ANPP, from ANPP to AC, from Labour Party to ANPP and all that. So
no, of course, is a rock. Perhaps it was a smaller rock.
Okay. Well, I would ask for permission not to respond to that, because all these ANPP,
you respond to it. It's something that you
ANPP, Labour, those were exploratory. I mean, have you ever seen a party card with the name Labour or Oshomole on it? So those were exploratory.
Just as some people say it's also exploratory.
Of course, yes, Saraki is exploratory. So Saraki can...
He's on a quest for something. Yes, so that's an exploration.
Okay, so Saraki can do exploratory.
It is very permitted as far as the law permits.
With all due respect, Saraki cannot do exploratory politics with the presidency of the Senate. Listen, we are not the national chairman of APC is restricted to, as it were, administering the affairs of APC. The president of the Senate is the person who is positioned to drive the Senate agenda for the good of the Nigerian people.
Which is doing.
As you and I are here now, the Senate is on recess. The things that affect us, they are not doing. What are they really doing? I don't want to go there because I was a former member of the House. So when people talk about members of the National Assembly being there for their parochial selfish interests, I try not to go there. But this is not the Senate that Nigerians voted for.
How do you mean?
I mean, did the PDP people in Kwara vote for Saraki for him to move? Is that the idea?
I was saying that there's really no freedom of association. I mean, in our politics, in our democracy, it is encouraged. I mean, it's encouraged.
You can see how much they love him in Kwara. When he moved in, the people that say we can't work with you, they moved out en masse. You're coming here, but we're looking for you.
One personal,
It wasn't a personal thing. It was a group thing. Let's call a spade a spade. This man has some problem. There's something inherently, you know, I don't want to use.
So you are demonizing. You are demonizing. The truth is, you are demonizing. You are trying to demonize.
You earlier said he was the most popular man in the Senate, but I'm saying to you, with all due respect, I don't see that. If he is, why is he scared? You come out in the open. The Senate works in the open. You come out, reconvene the Senate, put your popularity on the test. If you win, we will all clap for you. But don't go holding meetings at night. Don't go adjoining the Senate and then calling meetings. That's the point. And Nigerians may not see this as important because they think, oh, it doesn't matter. Our democracy is something we cherish so much. Some of us sacrificed a lot for us to get this democracy.
Okay, now, Amayo, I want you to react to the position of our security operatives. Remember last week or thereabouts, you know, what people say it was the first attempt, whereby the premises of this same president of the Senate, Sarake, was seized on, you know, by security operatives and all that. Now, the IG came out and said that the Nigerian police force does not have anything to do with it. And of course, this time around, just yesterday he also said it, that the Nigerian police force does not have anything to do with this siege that was laid upon the National Assembly. Only the DSS this time, you know, have to take all the blames and all that. Now, our security operatives, I don't know, when we have issues like this, you begin to see denial. And, you know, we all know that these guys take directive from the executive, from the president. How do we, you know, just oppose this idea and, you know, find a way out?
Well, it's so unfortunate that that part of the Constitution has not really been amended, because I think the Nigeria president, quote unquote, is more or less like the most powerful president in the world. I can speak the truth boldly right now because I'm not tied to the apron string of any political party. You saw the way they were arguing about some few minutes ago, because both parties are interested in winning the 2019 election, and I wouldn't blame them, because politics is more or less like is more of a personal interest thing. So the PDP now, they are complaining that the executive arm of government, they are using the Nigeria security architecture apparatus to oppress them. Recall in 2014, when President Jonathan was also in power, this same thing happened when Tambuwa defected from the PDP to the APC, when some lawmakers had to scale the fence. I think I still have the footage, the videos in my phone. And I think Barrister here was also happy. Even our president called Tambuwa then a statesman for the campaign from the PDP to the APC. And he is angry right now that the Senate president should relinquish his position and allow an APC senator to take over. I think he was very happy. He didn't want Tambuwa to lose his seat.
Do you want me to respond to that?
As a speaker.
Just hold on.
Do you know what I'm speaking?
Because the circumstances are different.
Then the PDP also had majority in the House, and the PDP never maligned Tambuwa. They didn't intimidate him to relinquish his position. I'm not an advocate of Sarake. I don't have anything to benefit from him. I don't have anything to benefit from the PDP, neither the APC. That's why you can say I'm speaking the truth to everything that has been laid before me, because I'm not under the apron string of any political party.
But just
I don't benefit. I don't have to. So what I'm trying to say is the PDP now, they are complaining about the security men that went to lay siege on the National Assembly. I think they even did the same thing when they were in power. So I can tell you that if they come back to power tomorrow, they will do the same thing. The problem that we have in this country is not PDP, it's not APC. I think is an individual thing, is a mental thing. There needs to be a mental reorientation. You wouldn't blame the security men out there. If their organ or their boss gives them instruction that they should go and lay siege on the National Assembly, they will have to do it. They will tell you that you have to obey before command.
And of course, that organ must also take an order from somebody.
From another organ.
I'm going somewhere. It's a chain thing. It's a chain thing. So you have to look at the value chain. So what am I trying to say? If they sack those people tomorrow, how would they get a job? How would they feed their family? You think they are happy? I've spoken with policemen in this country. I've spoken with soldiers too. You think they are happy with what is going on in this country? But they don't have a choice because they have to feed their family. That is where they get their daily bread. As we speak now, some of those policemen, they have not even been paid. You saw what happened in Maiduguri when some mobile policemen went on the street to go and protest that their allowances have not been paid. Do you know how many soldiers that have been killed in the theater of war in Maiduguri, in Adamawa State and Yobe State? Have their families been compensated? I think at this point in time, I have to salute the efforts of our armed forces. They are doing a very great job. I think the problem is with the leadership. You don't really have to blame the DSS, the Nigeria police, the Nigeria Air Force, Nigeria Army, and the Nigerian Navy. I think we have some of the best security outfits in this country. Okay. But the problem has to do with leadership.
Yeah, Mike,
like what you said, I think we have to amend our constitution in order to get that right, so that the IGP, the Chief of Army Staff, and whatever will not be at the pockets of the executive arm of government.
Okay. Now, Mike, the popularity in quotes now that Bukola Saraki has now in the Senate, can he really hold it on? Can he hold on to it even when the Senate resumes in September? The National Assembly resumes in September. Can Bukola Saraki, can he hold it on?
Well, of course, he would. First of all, the said popularity.
He won't?
He would.
He would.
He would. Yes, the said popularity is what the APC had given him. They made him so popular. They made him so strong by all the vilification of our robbery, CCT trial, all of those shenanigans, and in the end, the man keeps winning them as if it was a football match. And look at what they did when he was decamping. The siege on his house. The IGP came and said he was not aware. A siege that lasted over 4 hours in this country. There were live videos on YouTube. There were live videos on the internet. What it means is that if it was a robbery scene too, the police would not have been aware. If it was a kidnap case, they would not be aware. If it was an act of terrorism, they would not be aware. And in the end, the match came out good. Yesterday again, it was repeated. So I'm telling you now that Saraki has been tried, he has been tested, and he has been proven by the APC to be very strong. And we, the people, will accept him to be strong. And I'm telling you again that if they plot another coup, Saraki will still win. What they need to remove him from that position is a 2/3 majority. And with the senators we have now in the PDP, I am very sure Saraki will triumph day, night. We have seen Oshomole threaten him. The majority leader are threatening him. The APC are threatening him of the position.
When you say Oshomole threatened him, how exactly do you mean?
Of course, Oshomole threatened him.
How?
By saying they were going to do everything possible to make sure he relinquishes that position. Yeah, he was given that position. He cannot take the position he got from the house. He used the analogy of the house.
That's his own opinion. That's not the threat.
No, you see. All right, depends on how the man receives it.
Now, let's look at the APC. Now, some say that it looks as if that the APC is really not looking inward. It seems to be that there are rumor mongers in the sense that the APC plans something, and before you know it, the PDP gets to know. Remember the siege that was laid at Saraki's house. Before APC knew, Saraki got a hint of it, and of course, he had to stay off his house that day. The siege yesterday now, the PDP also got a hint of it. Now, the APC, as the games are on, are you sure the APC is really really trying to watch their back as they make progress in some of these attempts?
I mean, let's face it, my brother. Saraki is not a spirit. He's a physical man.
All right, so
he lives somewhere.
Yeah.
If the police or the security agents want to arrest him, they will know where to go and get him. So all this issue of siege, he escaped siege, he escaped siege. I think they are incredulous. He has his own, security, outfit. I won't put it beyond him. I'm not suggesting it, but I won't put it beyond him for him to get his own, policemen to line up the street, and then he says, "Oh, it is IG who has brought people to come and arrest me." So that is on that. Let us put that aside. But one point I want to make is that the National Assembly must reconvene this month.
All right,
I'm really convinced.
All right, let's go.
We are not going to wait till September.
All right, let's hope so. It's only an opinion that we share here. We really don't hold any of these opinions that our guests share. It's just their own opinion, and that's just the way it is. Well, a very big thank you to Barrister Dele Igbenedion. Please
thank you.
The handshake.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Baron.
A short break now, so that other segments will come your way. Please stay tuned.